I'm a little bit late doing this video, but I wanted to get into some of this stuff about this whole thing to do with Benjamin Mendy and all those those allegations that he had, those sexual assault allegations, and then he's found not guilty, and now he's supposedly going to be getting this 8.5 million payment due to unpaid wages by his former club Manchester City. There's certain things though, there's certain things that when you try to like when you want to get to the truth of things and exposing things, there's just certain things that it's like. The thing is, it's to do like like with this alternative media world, community, whatever, online. When you start getting into alternative media, or let's just put it like conspiracy theories, right? You'll come across probably like David Icke, Alex Jones initially. They're like maybe your go-to people to watch, to follow, and maybe initially just take everything they say as gospel, but then you're going about saying, oh hey, look, I'm a free thinker. But you do get some good stuff there. But as I've come to found, kind of like almost like 13 years in this kind of journey, so to speak, that world is very much kind of a facade. It's kind of almost, it's very much controlled, and they are, not all they're cracked up to be. With stuff like that, it's like yeah, you'll get into the whole thing like with 9/11, that was an inside job. I believe it was. There's the more obvious ones that the Lee Harvey Oswald didn't kill JFK, stuff like that. Those kind of theories. But there's so many other things though that are hidden in that online, world, what they call the, I don't know what the truther movement, people say, some say it's a truther movement, the alternative media community, and there's so many things there that they don't talk about, and I guess maybe they don't talk about it for good reason, because really they're the ones, the people, the David Ikes, the Alex Joneses of the world, that they are part of the club, that these guys are controlled, that they're agents. But there's a lot of things with this. I've been looking into stuff, and I was looking a little bit more into Freemasonry, and how the influence that Freemasonry has, in politics and entertainment, in sports, like everywhere. And there's a lot of things that you can pick up when you see things. You see clips, you see photos, you can see the signals that they do. There's a lot of things there. I mean, you get the stuff, like with entertainment videos, when you see all the pop stars with the one eye doing the one eye thing. The eye of, was it the eye of Horus? It's called. A lot of that stuff, yeah. You could put that down to maybe just the camera, the photographer wanted them to do that, or it's very much just a signal that these guys, to let the people who really know that they're one of us, they're in the club. But there's a lot of stuff here though that I mean, getting into like 9/11 and all that is one thing, but then there's so many other these things, these stories, like these things that are just, I believe, to be. It's very good chance that it didn't happen. They're just total psyops. Reading into stuff that happened, there's the Manchester bombing thing with Ariana Grande concert. That's questionable. The official narrative there. The death of George Floyd. There's some questions there that I have. There's a lot of stuff. The Sarah Everett murder. But there's a lot of questions there with this stuff here. This main photo here, though, of Benjamin Mendy, getting back to this, though, this was the thing that popped out to me right away. And when I've been doing the research that I've done for, like, maybe 18 months now, this was, like, the big kind of, like, I know you call red flag or smoking gun, if you will, the picture that you see here in the centre. And what you see here, now, first off, it's not even just now. Some people might know who know their stuff. Okay. I'll touch on this part first. So, it's the silence, the finger, this is what's known as the Masonic vow of silence. This is what many entertainers will be in photographs doing, and it's that signal of they'll never reveal the secrets. And it's maybe just another to the people to people who again to the people who know that's their sign that, hey, I'm one of you. I'm part of the club too. So that's one. The other one, I don't know if you maybe I haven't spotted already, but it's the color of his jacket, the orange jacket. So it's kind of almost like sort of like an orange leather jacket, but it's the color orange, and that's the color that's associated with Freemasonry. It's well known to be associated with Freemasonry, orange. And there's stuff there that you've got orange, and that's that just stop oil, that whole thing. That main color they had was orange, and that whole thing, yeah, that was something that was controlled. And there's so many things that these guys control, really. But when I saw that photo, that's when I was like, something's up here, and there's some other things to link that to that as well. And this whole thing when it's involving Manchester City, I don't know. I have some questions about Manchester City there. I mean, there's certain things from what I've seen. I think it's very possible that Pep Guardiola is a Freemason. There's a photo out there. I should have saved it. Sorry, but there's a photo out there of him doing it was like a handshake on a training session with Barcelona. It would have been with the managers at Johan Cruyff. This would have been like mid-90s, which looks like one of those funny, odd, secret Masonic handshakes. Quite, it's a little questionable. Pep, is there a reason that Pep ended up being seen as the man now in management, arguably the best manager of all time, because he's that being just a Freemason. That's what's going to open doors, the connections, that whole wide network. Not to say that he isn't a talented manager. He ended up being a better manager than he was a player, right? But there's some questions there with Guardiola. I still there's questions there as well with the whole thing going on right now with Manchester City. The whole financial fair play thing, and it's 115 charges. And there's a guy online that's really good at exposing this stuff. He helped woke me up, Adam Adamant, and I messaged him about that, and I said, I said to him, I imagine this whole thing with the number of the charges, this has to be encoded, right? There's got to be some message behind this, right? And he had said something about you've got one, you've got five. So 1 + 1 + 5, 7. And the significance of the number 7 is in gematria. This is another whole topic for another day, really, gematria. Going deep down a rabbit hole here. But 7 is the mind weapon in gematria. And that's the code that I guess they have with, it's... I mean, I don't know how you put it exactly, but I suppose this whole thing, this big story, it's with the whole thing about the charges to do with financial fair play, whether that could be entirely true or not. It's, I guess, I suppose you could say maybe it's just what it is one of these stories put out there as a distraction from to more important things going on in the world, let's say. And yeah, so I don't know the whole stuff with this thing with Mendy coming out, and that came out 3 weeks ago. The past few weeks, Manchester City have been on a very bad run, and there's already people saying, oh, they should get Pep out. Guardiola apparently, if you go back, promised that he was gonna, if Man City were found of any wrongdoing with these charges, he would leave. But now what's happened? He's signed a contract extension, so he's kind of gone back on his word. Really, if we were to take him on his word and said if they're found of any wrongdoing, he would step aside. But now he's gone and signed an extension for what was it, 1 year, an option of an additional year. So I don't know, man. I mean, if you ask me, it could already just be, I mean, a lot of this shit could just be totally just staged. Like, a lot of the stuff with football could be staged. The whole thing with that referee getting exposed could all be staged. or or it is a legitimate thing, but the people, the controllers, whatever, they've just decided for shits and giggles maybe to throw him under the bus. I don't know, but this whole thing could just be a one big. It's like just theater. It's just a big act, a big play, and they're going to have it like where City, they'll be guilty of the charges, get relegated. Pep stays with them. He wins the championship with City, and then his last season they're back in the league, and then he wins the league with City in his last season. And then he goes out in a blaze of glory. That could all just be staged. You never know with this stuff, right? You never know. But there's definitely some questions there with this stuff with Mendy anyway, and the photo. And then you've got that particular colour there for the coat as well, is a bit questionable. I mean, number one, right? This was the photo, I believe, when it was all done. Overall, that was it. He was guilty. We found not guilty, sorry, of all the charges. And you think, well, he would have been relieved. They said he was like emotional, like he supposedly was crying in the court after the verdict. But you think, well, after this, he's been fighting for his life, reputation on the line. He's found not guilty of these things. Would you really be pointing up to do that thing like where your finger is up to It's like, I don't know, man. That's kind of questionable. And some people say just from looking at the picture, oh, he wasn't really doing that. Just from how he might have just had his hand lifted up from when he was holding his phone. But then this was the photo that the MSN.com decided to run with, where it certainly at first glance appears like he's doing like the Masons do, the Masonic vow of silence. And yeah, so then the question lies though with all this stuff with the allegations of Mendy, was it all made up? Was it all theatre in the first place? Or what really happened was Mendy was part of the club, being that he's a professional footballer, well connected to the right people, the lawyers there, and how he had the manager and Pep. I imagine probably Pep really wanted, to have his back and not believe that these allegations were true. Let's say if things supposedly really did happen, that they were going to make sure he was connected to the right people, and when he went to court, that he was going to, do the right thing, do the hand signs or whatever to indicate, hey, I guess that supposedly he's a Mason, or maybe he's not, to make it appear like he is, and then the colour as well, the jacket, and then so the people who really you, and that would deliver a favourable verdict for him. I don't know, but there's definitely some questions there. There's some questions with this stuff as well. So I was looking into this, and there's a couple other red flags. It was the Cheshire Constabulary charged Mendy, and there's also the Chester Crown Court. This is another big red flag when you see these things here. With Masons, a lot of it is, with the how things are worded and the numbering. The Chester Constabulary, so that the two C's there, that's another thing. That thing, I believe, in gematria, it would come to 33, the most powerful number. And then you get to Chester Crown Court, so there's the 3 C's there. I mean, I don't know if that goes into like with the gematria like 666 or whatever, but there's definitely some things just stood out to me there. And the whole thing with Chester as well, because then you've got this whole thing with Lucy Letby, that whole thing. And I'm looking into the whole thing with Lucy Letby, and Lucy Letby, so it was the Chester Hospital, right? The Countess of Chester Hospital. So again, you got the 2 C's, and this, she went to jail, right? She supposedly went to jail when she was 33, right? But then you've got this stuff here. BBC reported about life-threatening incidents occurred on almost a third of Lucy Letby's 33 shifts. So that just, what a coincidence, right? So she was 33 when she was convicted of this stuff, and then it's 33 shifts, and then it was a third. So again, a lot of this comes down to just the numbering. You've got to look out for this stuff here. And there's a lot of questions with that Lucy Letby thing, I mean, the whole, Lucy Letby is innocent narrative is one that I don't buy into, and it's very questionable. It's coming from like people like, the more establishment conservative types like you, David Davis, and Peter Hitchens. that's quite questionable too. And that's not one that I buy. But either, that whole shit could just be a total, psyop to, traumatize the public. Who knows? But other stuff though with that stuff with Benjamin Mendy, so the Masonic vow of silence. So there's many celebrities, public figures that done this or photographed doing this. You've got people like Donald Glover, who's the rapper Childish Gambino, doing it. All these other people here, the Star Wars cast. Look at who's doing that whole signal with this. The what? It's a shame Harrison Ford because he's a talented actor, right? But he's well deep in the club though. Yeah, it is what it is. But the other people here too. You've got Ariana Grande doing it. You've got, I believe that's in the middle, Ciara doing it. You've got Ben Stiller doing it. That was Gwen Stefani doing it in the song Holler Back Girl. Donald Trump, though, everybody says he's the Lord and he's the Savior, right? But he's doing it too. And yeah, sometimes people, it's one of those things, right? It's like, a footballer, right, celebrating a goal, right, and the crowd are booing the opposite fans, and he does the shoestrings to quiet down. Now, just because a footballer does that doesn't mean I think that it means he's part of the club or he's a Freemason. No. But when you see these people, all these big artists, the big entertainers doing it, and it's like there's just a pattern there with these symbols and everything. Do you really mean to tell me that all the time it was just the camera? It's just a case that the photographer told them to do it. But then who told the photographer that they should do that? That's going to come up from higher up than somebody who's just a photographer. You know what I mean? It's got to be, right? Surely. But then you've even got the guys like Pharrell, which is a shame. He's a talented producer. Kendrick Lamar, talented rapper. They're doing it too. They're doing that code of silence too. And yeah, they're all of them doing these signals. And I think there was another one somewhere here. Yeah, there was another one. So they call this the thalamic sign of Harpocrats. You'll have popes, you'll have bishops doing it. You got Adam Sandler, you got Barack Obama. There's another one of Barack Obama doing it. I think when he had just got sworn into office, and it was just blatant what he did. It was almost like he did some speech or some dinner, and it was like a mic drop type moment. But he did that vow of silence. Johnny Depp doing it. But then you had Charles Darwin doing it, right? Charles Darwin, Mr. Theory of Evolution, right? But yeah, he did it. There's so many of these guys that do it, right? And yes, some of these things, yeah, just look out for it. But the whole thing, though, going back to Benjamin Mendy thing, was that whole thing just is it just Masonic theater, or was it the right people told Mendy what to do, the right signals to make when he was in court, right colored jacket to wear. What really happened there? What really went on with that stuff? I mean, there were so many allegations against Mendy, so I was kind of thinking like it's one of those things like where there's smoke, there's fire. So I thought like it maybe could be true. See, like so many allegations that like, I just found it impossible to believe that like all the women were making all this up. But, and supposedly in court he was found not guilty, but I don't know, this whole thing, there's something there that just doesn't, I just smell a rat with that whole story though. And there's all the stuff as well. You have Mason Greenwood. I mean, maybe a clue's right there in what his first name is, right? There was that whole thing there, like with the audio recording with his, what was it, the girl, I don't know if his wife now, but his girlfriend. And there's pictures out there of them, and they're doing the signs, the devil horns and all that, and doing all those other signals. Yeah, so that's another questionable story too. So again, could that just all be done? It's all staged. It's what they go through, like a humiliation ritual. I don't know, man. But a lot of this stuff, you just have to watch. And there's a lot of stories there that can't just ultimately just be used as psyop, whether they're entirely true or not. And what it's done is really to just distract you from more important things in the world. It's done to like kind of control you, make you upset, make you mad. And yeah, it's a lot of just to cause division. And but then again, a lot of it can just be, it's just feature to the, it's, straight up can be just Masonic feature, and there's maybe some signals there with that code of silence, and then with the orange, the color of the jacket being associated with Freemasonry. But hey, do some homework. Look up Masonic code of silence. Look up about the color orange being associated with Freemasonry, and come to your own conclusion. But that's my video. That's my take on all that stuff there. But yeah, but that's me for now. Feel free to leave a comment, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Anything that stands out to you and all these things. Just with the stuff, the Masonic stuff in general, this case with Benjamin Mendy. But feel free to leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. I'd be interested in hear different people's takes on this one. But that's me for now, though, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.